Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast and our special 12 Lessons in 2024 series. In this episode, we're on to lesson 5, which takes us back to May of 2024. So as you listen, I want you to have a think about what came up for you in May. What was happening at this time? For me, it was the beginning of some difficult times, which I'm going to share. But of course, there was also expansiveness, there was joy, there was excitement, polarity, right? There's both going on. Now, the biggest thing that happened in May, at least that was present for most of May, was that I was actively in launch for the Frequency Project. So yes, I have shared in previous episodes that I was looking to move away from live launching and into a more evergreen way of promoting the Frequency Project. However, I wasn't ready for that yet on the back end, and it's a business. We need income. I have a team. And so in May, it was my last hurrah, shall we say, of running my sales strategy around the Frequency Project. Now, having had a really successful launch in February and having done a lot of analytics on the back end around how that happened, the numbers that came into the live class, the Facebook ad investment I made and the returns, all of that was factored in. And I planned for the biggest launch ever of my entire business. And I invested $4,000 into Facebook ads, which built massive momentum and confidence in this actually unfolding. So I was in high spirits. I was in massive work mode, generator work mode. And as that peaked with the masterclass running live, I brought in over 500 signups to the masterclass, like huge. I think it was more like 700. I haven't been and double checked. And majority of those people had also joined the Facebook group. So I had a dedicated Facebook group for this masterclass. And so it was, whilst it was a live launch with the highlight being a class, there was also a group and lots of interaction, lots of engagement in that group. So this was feeling amazing. I actually recall sharing with my team that this was about to be explosive in terms of the business and the number of people that we were ready to hold space for. So that was the energy for the majority of May. I will say that in May, we moved into a lot of throat-centered gates in the transits, which is a very good manifestation energy and great for communication. So I had the transits working for me in the background. Now we get into lessons. I had very high expectations for this launch. You can hear that in the way that I've communicated what was going on. And as I went into the masterclass itself, so pumped. Having looked at the numbers, I was expecting well over 100 to be on live with me. I upgraded my Zoom account and everything to hold space. I ended up having 70, which is still high. Was still my biggest ever class, actually, live class that I've run attendance-wise. And was it 70 or slightly more? I think I had 70 that stayed through the entire 90 minutes. So that felt absolutely awesome. Amazing. Great feedback, lots of commentary in the Facebook group. So good. Then we get into the trickiness. I had one sign up within the first 24 hours. It crushed me. This low level of conversion felt so profoundly disappointing. It was the lowest, let's call it early bird slash open cart that I'd ever had in the Frequency Project, despite having had more people sign up for the class and attend live and the feedback I was getting. And whilst we have to hold ourselves through these times and appreciate that a launch is not one day, and that the cart was going to be open for 2 weeks, and there was so much more to be done around nurturing that audience. I did have, I'm going to be honest, I did have such a deep level of disappointment that I was in a world of hurt. And it was like, oh my goodness, like $4,000 on ads. What is going on? And then right around that same time, I got on a plane to head for Queensland and the first Australasia Human Design Conference. And so I went off to do that, but I was in a bit of a funk, and I was like, you know what? I've just got to be present. I'm going to meet lots of fabulous people. They might even want to be in the Frequency Project. I've got to just show up and do my best. This is actually the biggest foundation of my business. It's how I am able, despite any of the ups and downs and the roller coaster emotions that can happen in entrepreneurship, it's how do I just show up and do my best regardless? And that's what I did. And that's what I do. And so that was very much my action, even though it was difficult at times. Even being in the energy of all these wonderful people coming up to me at this conference saying that they'd been in the class or that they've been following me. Like I was like, wow, it's been not even 18 months since I really invested my entire business into this space. And this kind of impact feels so fantastic, like brilliant. So there was goods and bads going on. Then I got a really, really difficult call while I was there, which was from my sister to let me know that my dad had been taken to hospital, and the doctors had advised that they didn't think that he was going to come out, that it was very serious. And so I got on a plane immediately, like within a couple of hours, and flew back to Sydney at very short notice. So May, when I look back, it was like this huge working, busy business month, lots of expectation, plenty of effort and impact, because I did run a class to this huge audience and had amazing feedback. But the month ended with disappointment. And then what was a really, like difficult thing going on in my personal life that had to take priority. So I very quickly put all thoughts of how my launch was going to the side. And that's what we do, right? That actually felt like a defining moment, in that I quickly realized that all of this stuff about this launch and what was happening was not my priority, and that my priority was getting back to be with my family. And so that is how May finished. That was the beginning of a more difficult time. But I said I'd be vulnerable and I'd share with you my reflections on the year and the month by month. Well, my biggest reflection and my biggest lesson for May was that, for me, having really high expectations is not a good thing for my nervous system when the outcomes are never guaranteed. And if I go into something with a high level of, because I've done this, this, and this, it's going to bring this outcome, that is not necessarily a good thing for me. That indeed, the lesson for all of you and for me as well is to let go of the outcomes and the expectations, and be more in the experiment. Like, okay, well, this is an experiment. I've invested this level based on my analytics. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so that was the biggest lesson as I wrap up this episode. Perhaps there's something you can take away from this in your own experience of sales and how that feels in your nervous system. Much more to come on this topic, and I'll be back with lesson 6, which is coming up in the next one. Bye for now.
There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.